Hi everyone, welcome to FITBOX Live. I'm hoping this is actually going out on FITBOX page and not going out somewhere else, and I hope it is actually going out somewhere. So bear with me if it's not going out in the right place. Anyway, right, so FITBOX Live is something that I want to do. It's something that I want to do every week. I'm going to do one before Christmas because it's got some Christmas tips. And then I'm going to do start properly in the new year. So just to introduce myself, my name's Tristram and I run a company in Solihull in the UK called FITBOX. There I am a personal trainer and health coach. I run boot camps and do personal training for groups and for single people. So it's my idea with FITBOX Live that I do a little weekly broadcast and I help people with loads of questions and answers. So if you have any questions or answers, please, any questions, just put them in the comment box and I can answer them as we go along. Or you can put them in the comment box below because I'm sure people will watch this on replay rather than just live. So you can also put them in the comments below if you're watching a replay, and I'll get back to you and I might address them the next week, or I could contact you at another time. That's brilliant. So that's fantastic. It's not something, FITBOX live broadcast is something I don't normally do. I normally do video type broadcasting where I can edit stuff rather than doing it live, so I'm a little bit nervous. I'm doing this in my dining room, so if I have at any point a mad brown dog jumping up at me or trying to attack me, then please don't be alarmed, that's normal. My son's in the living room playing on FIFA, so you may hear him shouting at the TV. So this is me, warts and all, and it's just how we go on. So as we go on and I do more of these, hopefully they'll become better. And I will learn to pronounce properly, and rather than saying better, we'll say better. So my name is Tristram, that's up on there, that's fantastic, and I run FITBOX, which is down there. It's not very big, I apologise, but that is my website. So today, as we're getting close to Christmas, and I thought we'll do the one sort of pilot FITBOX Live before Christmas, I thought I'd do my top 10 tips to survive the Christmas festive period. I know Christmas can be a nightmare, you know, especially if you've spent all year working hard, and people get stressed about Christmas, and not only obviously the monetary value of it and the stress of getting presents for everyone and things like that, but also because people tend to overeat and drink too much at Christmas, and it can knock them, and it's sort of a downward spiral in so much as that they think, oh well, you know, it's November the 15th, it's Christmas, I'm going to kick back, eat a load of rubbish, drink loads more than I would normally do, and I can wear a baggy Christmas jumper to cover up my belly. So I'm going to do you I'm going to tell you some 10 top tips I've got that will hopefully help you navigate your way around Christmas, and maybe you won't beat yourself up so much when you get to the end of the Christmas period, because we know in January we can feel a bit rubbish over what we've eaten over Christmas. So I've got my notes here. I've written it down because there's no way in any way am I going to remember all 10 of these. So let's put up, so tips number one, tip number one, there we go, it's on the screen. Lovely. So tip number one is flexible dieting. Now for some people this can be a bit of a no-no, and some people don't sort of understand it. Let's break it down. So flexible dieting in this case can be really, really useful for people who are going through Christmas. And let's break it down. So the bare bones of it, fat loss, fat gain, and maintenance of weight is down to calories consumed. That's it. I mean, also you can bring into exercise, and we can talk about calories being burnt off through exercise, but it's basically the calories that you take in. Are you burning off more calories than you are taking into your body? That's essentially what fat loss, maintenance, and fat gain is all about. So my tip around flexible dieting is, if you know that you're going out on the Christmas do that's going to, and you're going to go and have your 10 pints or whatever, if it's me, it's 2 pints and then I'm falling over. You're going to have your Christmas meal and you know you're going to be consuming an awful lot of calories. Then what you can do is you can take that into account. You know roughly how many calories you will consume when you're out and about. So you can spend the day before and the day after sorting your calories out. So you could eat less the day before and in the lead up to your day out, and then less on the next day as you go down, equaling out your calorie intake over maybe a 3-day period. I'm not saying starve yourself completely for 2 days before you go out. Let's be, sensible about it, because you do need food. And you need those calories to function. But with a little bit of careful planning, you can not eat so much, or you can limit the damage of that night out or that Christmas dinner. So that's tip number 1. So going on to tip number 2, which is up on the screen again, protein. Right, so just looking down at my notes there. Protein. Protein is pretty darn important for the body. All our muscles are made up of it, and a lot of our connective tissue are made up of protein. Now, when we exercise, we need to eat the protein to help the muscles repair, because without us taking in protein, how is the body ever going to repair the muscles that we damage during training and make them bigger and stronger? The second good thing, or another good thing about protein, is that if you eat it in a meal, it fills you up. It fills you up quicker, and it fills you up for longer, meaning that you won't be hungrier later on. So if you were to eat something that's carb heavy, such as a big pasta meal, or a lot of rice, or a lot of bread, you can quickly become hungry afterwards. Whereas if you eat a lot of protein through your meal, not only will you be filled up whilst you're eating that meal quicker than if you're eating something like that, but also that feeling of being full will last for longer, meaning that you will eat less calories after you've eaten that food. So that's a great tip. So that's tip number 2. My dog's trying to eat something over there, but we'll leave him. So tip number 3, eat slowly. So eating slowly is something that I used to do, but when I joined the Navy and in the police force, I tended to eat very, very quickly, because I didn't know where my meals were coming, when they were coming, how long I'd get to eat them, and the quicker I ate them meant I had more time to just chill out before I had to go back to work. That's not great. Shoving it down your gullet like there's no tomorrow is not the best way of eating. Now, eating slowly is a much more effective way of ensuring that you know when your body is full and you stop eating. So it's weird. Sir Alan Sugar lost a lot of weight about 5-6 years ago, and his tip, and he still does it, I think, is he carried around a tiny little fork in his pocket, which made him eat much slower because he couldn't fit as much onto his fork. So, and that worked for him. The science behind this is when we eat and our stomach is full, it basically releases a hormone called leptin, which then travels from where it's released from. So the stomach tells the glands when the stomach is full, it doesn't need any more food. It then releases the hormone leptin, which then goes to the brain and says, oh, hang on a minute, you've had enough food. That's really good, and it's a great way of the body limiting the amount of food that it takes in. Unfortunately, that process takes around 20 minutes. So if you're nailing your food really, really quick, and you've eaten it within that 20 minutes, it's not until later your body goes, oh, I'm going to eat you full. Oh, and you're overeaten. So if you eat slowly, chew all your food, take time around a meal, and talk to people, make it a social event, sit down at the table, you will feel the benefits of leptin kicking in, and you will eat less food. Lovely. So tip number 4 is on the screen. Lovely. Get smaller plates. Tip number 4, get smaller plates. It's been proven that if you are given a smaller plate, you will put less food on it. I mean, you can only fit so much food on a tiny little side plate or a salad plate. It seems simple, but that's what it is. Get a smaller plate. Also, it's been proven that if your food is a contrasting colour to the plate, so i.e. you've got a light coloured food on a dark coloured plate, it's an optical illusion, and your brain thinks that the portion you have on a dark coloured plate is larger than what it actually is. So you therefore eat less. You know, it could be the same portion size as you've got on a light coloured plate, but it looks to the brain through your optical illusion that it's actually a bigger portion. So that's my 4th tip: smaller plates and make them darker. Let's put on top tip number 5. Tip number 5: give it a break after you've had something to eat. So don't go straight into seconds. So eat your first set of food that you've got there, and just give it a little while to chill out, let your digestion start to kick in, take a breath, undo your belt, whatever you got to do. But give it a bit of time before you think about eating seconds. Now I'm going to take you back to tip number 3, which was eating slower, that release of leptin. It takes 20 minutes for it to kick in. Same job here. That giving it a while before you eat your seconds allows your body to catch up with what you've just eaten, and it allows that time for the leptin to kick in and tell you if you're full or not, and do you actually need those seconds. So if you give it a while, you're less likely to have seconds because you'll be fuller, and your body will thank you for it. So tip number 6: drink water with your food. I'm not just talking about drinking liquid, I'm talking about having a glass of water with your food. It aids digestion, which is great. It rehydrates you, which is awesome, because most of us are dehydrated all the time, and a lot of hunger pangs is actually mistaken dehydration. Actually, if you have a glass of water, you won't feel hungry anymore. It fills your tummy up, and again, it slows you down. So it allows you, you know, if you have a bite of food and a glass of, and a drink of water, it slows down the whole process. So not only does it aid digestion, it slows down the process, allowing tip number 3, which was the leptin, to kick in and tell you if you're full or not. Fantastic tip. So we're going to go into tip number 7. It's freeze your leftovers. So freeze your leftovers. So as soon as you've eaten your food and you've got those leftovers, put them in your Tupperware, your fancy Tupperware, Pyrex dishes, whatever, chuck them in the freezer and let them freeze, rather than letting them hang around on the front shelf of the fridge, that every time you're bored over the Christmas holidays, you go and open the fridge and you look in and there's half a turkey staring at you and you just pick at it. Put all that stuff in the freezer and then use that going forward over the next few weeks for your meals. You don't really need that food, you're just a bit bored. Go and play with your Christmas presents, whatever, spend time with family, but don't just keep going to that fridge and eat food. So give yourself a chance, freeze those leftovers. Tip number 8. Oh yes, this is a good one. So when you're drinking, use a tall, thin champagne flute. Now that could be drinking champagne, which they're designed for. It could be for drinking wine. It could be for drinking beer, not for spirits, because they're quite big for spirits. I know what some of you like. So what I would do, it's been proven, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's been proven that a champagne flute, or someone drinking from a champagne flute, will fill it up less times than a normal sized glass. So not only are they smaller size portion sizes in a tall thin champagne flute, you will fill them up less, meaning you will drink less alcohol. Now, I'm not trying to be a party pooper, but sometimes I, for one, probably drink more than I should in those sorts of situations. So yes, give yourself a chance, drink out of a thinner champagne flute, and that should help the whole process. Well, we're on tip number 9. So tip number 9, be aware that, cheers Ben, thanks for liking it. So tip number 9 is be aware that alcohol makes you cave into your cravings, and that's harder to say than what it sounds like. So I personally find when I drink alcohol, even during that night, we've all found ourselves at 2:30 in the morning in the kebab shop queue after having a few pints. It tends to turn off that part of my brain that says no, you don't need to eat that food, and it then turns on that part of my brain that says yes, you do need that food. So I tend to gobble down a lot of food if I've had a few drinks. But the thing is, it also happens the same thing the next day. So the next day, you're feeling a bit grubby. The body craves real calorific, stodgy, processed, high in fat, high in salt, high in sugar foods to make it feel better. And we've all been there on the Sunday morning where we've probably gone down to McDonald's or wherever and had a greasy fry up, and it sort of settled the stomach. That is a byproduct of drinking too much the night before. So be aware that those cravings will come. Perhaps have some healthy food that you can have in the fridge the next morning, but try not to cave to those cravings, but just be aware that that's going to happen. So we're on now. Tip number 10 is enjoy yourself. It's Christmas. Make sure you enjoy yourself. There'll be lots of sort of fitness companies and advertising around making you feel guilty for having fun over Christmas. And these tips are not there to make you feel guilty. They're trying to help you get through the Christmas period and sort of limit the damage. But the idea behind making you feel guilty is that you'll go and buy their products or whatever. What you need to do is enjoy yourself. You worked hard all year to enjoy yourself, so go out, have a laugh. Just be aware of what's going on in the background around your body and the certain tips that you can have to sort of limit damage. But if you decide to eat something or drink something, then own that decision, because you made the decision. Don't sit there for 3 hours wishing you hadn't eaten it and you feel guilty and you start this whole downward spiral of feeling guilty and feeling horrible, because that's no way to live. So tomorrow's always another day. You can always, like we talked about in tip 1 of flexible dieting, the next day you can always cut back on a few calories and you sort of even up the weighing scales, and that's fine. But don't feel guilty, have fun, it's Christmas. So they are my top 10 tips for surviving the Christmas period, and I hope they're sort of helpful to you and will get you through. If you have any tips that you have, let me just put, you can either put in the comments down below, you can put some comments on there, that would be cool. Like the video so other people can see it. You can also share the video with lots of people. That would be awesome as well, because I'd love to get the message out to lots of different people, and it makes it a bit more fun as well. If you want to contact me, you can contact me on that email address. It is tiny and small, but it is there, tristramoliver@hotmail.com. Drop me a line. So that's the first part of the FITBOX Live here. So what I'm planning on doing is have a little bit of a talk at the beginning of FITBOX Live for a few minutes, and then go into sort of an in the news type feature, so we can talk about that. So in the news, the news article that I want to talk about tonight is the fact that there's issues around children being bombarded by junk food ads during family-based shows. So shows such as like the X Factor, Ninja Warrior, Voice, Simpsons, Hollyoaks, if that still exists. I think it does. I used to watch it when I was young, but I don't watch it anymore. Adverts that are aimed at children, which are high in foods which are high in fat and high in sugar and high in salt, are currently banned for programs that are aimed at children or have children's audiences that are great, have a percentage of children that watch them of 75%. So they are banned from those programs, and I think that's probably quite right too. However, a lot of children now watch, or have always watched, family entertainment programs like X Factor, like The Voice, like the ones I've already listed. And children watching these programs are bombarded by ads for food up to 12 times an hour on average during that hour. So is that necessarily a good thing? And with the obesity problems that we have in this country, is that just making it worse? Experts now want to have a watershed for this type of advert of 9 o'clock. So what do I think about it? I think the obesity crisis in this country is getting worse. Something like a third of all children when they leave school are obese, and that is terrible, and it's getting worse every year. We're now the fattest in Europe. We're also becoming sort of, I think we're only runner-up to America for being sort of the largest in the world, and that was something that wasn't the case 50 years ago. For my two penneth, I think it's a problem in the fact that there's too much advertising around food. It's too cheap. I don't think there's proper food education in school, and I don't think parents are aware of what's good and what's bad. I think we take a lead from the States on pretty much everything that we do, and I don't think that they have it right when it comes to food. I think it's all about quantity over quality, and I think it's all about cheapness, and I think it's about companies making things as cheaply as they can and selling them to us as for as much as they can, and don't really care about the consequences. We've tried to grasp it as a society by the horns. We've tried to sort it in the fact that we've cut down salt from some of our foods, which were high in salt. We've cut fat from a lot of our foods, which isn't necessarily a good thing for natural fats, but for trans manufactured fats, I think that's good. But we've sort of substituted fat for sugar, and we are now have a very high sugar diet. So anything low in fat is normally high in sugar. I think we've sort of victimized fat unfairly, that actually we need fat in our diets, and we haven't talked about sugar as much, but that is becoming more of a thing. So I think it's a good thing personally that they banned food from ads and sponsorship during these family-friendly programs. It can only be a good thing. Anything that limits it is good. So that is my two penneth on that. So that will bring to an end my FITBOX Live, my first pilot episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on replay, give it a like, share it to your friends, because I'd like to get the message out to as many people as possible. Get as many people on watching it live, then we can have some sort of interaction. Again, if you have any questions, stick them on the comments below, or you can, I'll put my email address up again. You can email me any questions you like, or just come and see me if you come to my PT. But I want to thank you all for listening. If you've listened live, there's 2 of you on there, that's great. if you're listening or watching on the replay, thank you very much for watching. And just in the comments below, let me know how you thought I went, and hopefully I'll see you after Christmas. This will be a weekly regular thing. But thank you very much. Have a good Christmas, and I will speak to you all again soon.